In a time of endless media content, political correctness, a city in chaos cried out for heroes. Two men were chosen, a mighty force forged in the heat of hilarity. The crack, the banter, the lack of negative waves. Their podcast would change the world.
And instead, they got two absolute idiots. One whose crippling narcissism will inevitably lead to someone choking him to death. The other, his obsession with Stone Cold Steve Austin ended in multiple restraining orders and a broken neck, not his own. No, this isn't the number one podcast in the country. Yet. It's Jack and Sean on You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet!
Hello. How's the form? What is the crack? And how are you getting on? Yes,
what's happening?
You're here with Jack and Sean on You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet. The lovely man that is sitting opposite me. He is addicted to blood. He's not a vampire. He's a butterfly. He always wants it darker. He has rose from the ashes of the Phoenix and of university. It is, of course, the lovely Sean M. Hughes.
And on the far side of the room, for some reason he has no shoes on, but he certainly is not allowed to sell lemonade in any suburbs that feature children, is Jack Donnelly. And we're back on
You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet.
And you heard us last time we talked about our favourite TV shows of the decade. We rambled about how Jack thinks anime is porn, about how Breaking Bad's the greatest thing committed to film, about how Mad Men's overrated. We talked about all these facts of life.
Whoa. Sean's been very lenient with some of the things he said there. Lenient indeed. But yeah, we're going to talk about the albums of the 10s.
Music of the, because I have a few songs in my honourable in the honourable mention section as well.
Okay. There is
but most albums.
For me, this was definitely the most difficult one because there is loads. And I mean loads. There is loads. Now there's going to be people listening to this and thinking you didn't give a fair run to, some things I don't really know, but I know for a fact that there's just some brilliant stuff in here. It's quite an eclectic mix from the two of us. We don't probably hit every single genre, so we do apologise. No. But there is a lot of brilliant stuff in there. I'm going to kick us off today, and I'm going to kick off with an album that came out at the very end of the 10s. It was 2019. It came out in 2019. It was released the 13th of September 2019. It was from a guy from South Shields, and it was Sam Fender, Hypersonic Missiles. So, Hypersonic Missiles, right? This guy's from South Shields. His name is Sam Fender, South Shields in England. He came up listening to Bruce Springsteen songs. He's a massive fan of Springsteen, and you can definitely aren't we all? That's exactly right. And who wouldn't be a fan of the boss, to be completely and totally honest? Sam says he grew up listening to his songs, Darkness on the Edge of Town, Dancing in the Dark, some of the greatest, biggest tracks and albums of Springsteen he was massively influenced by. For anybody who is like a man with a guitar, a woman with a guitar, they start and play in their local digs. So they play in community halls, plays in bars, restaurants, whatever it is, and that's what he was doing. He was playing though. Who was he playing actually? The absolute legend, and this is a shameless plug for me and Sean. We done a documentary on a Belfast station called You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet, 6-part documentary.
The station's called Belfast 89.
The station is called Belfast 89.
This podcast, You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet. But if you haven't listened to Belfast 89 and our fantastic show, then you have not heard of nothing yet.
No, you have not. We hope to put them out, those different wee sections out as separate things eventually. But one of the ones we done on it was Jimi Hendrix.
We did. And,
this lovely fella from South Shields, Sam Fender, is a massive fan of Jimi Hendrix and was singing Jimi Hendrix songs. Now, we've all heard of the fantastic singer Ben Hard. And it was Ben Hard's manager who actually found Sam Fender, who was obviously, like I said, massively inspired by Bruce Springsteen, and sort of just pulled him in and was like, look, I think you're pretty good, and let's see what the crack is. His first single was Play God. So a lot of what Sam Fender talks about in this album is, and it's his first album, and came in straight away at number 1 in the UK album charts. And Play God was the first song that came out, and it was. He talks a lot about issues that affected him in South Shields. So Play God, and the song that came after that, Dead Boys. Now Dead Boys, I think it was the first song that I ever heard of Sam Fender. I'm not 100% sure. I heard it on a station down south and it was played. Now Dead Boys is a slower song, and it talks about the rise of suicide in South Shields, and the joblessness thing, and how a lot of people don't have money, and how especially men obviously don't talk, and mental health
bottle it up and all that sort of crap.
Yeah, and mental health was a massive thing in the end of the 10s, and especially 2019. And he almost pays homage to a lot of the lads who completed suicide when singing this song and writing this song. It's absolutely brilliant. It's called Dead Boys. It's fantastic. Other singles off the album: Leave Fast, again absolutely brilliant. The title track of the album, Hypersonic Missiles, brilliant. And Hypersonic Missiles is where we really see the feeling of Springsteen come into it. Because Springsteen, obviously, if any of you aren't fans of Bruce Springsteen, catch
What's wrong,
yourselves on. Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. But Springsteen and the E Street Band played with a member of the E Street Band was Clarence, and he was
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. And it was a saxophone player. And in Hypersonic Missiles, you hear almost like a sax solo, and with the real, like, the drums, you know, coming at the end of it, and the guitar, it's literally Springsteen all over. Sam Fender has himself admitted in an interview that Hypersonic Missiles feels to him like a rip-off of Springsteen song, but he's okay.
Any
with
particular
it.
Springsteen song, or just Springsteen, like the spirit of Springsteen sort of thing?
Jack, there was one in my head. It'll come to me. It'll eventually. You know what's going to happen? You're going to be talking about yours, one of yours,
And Jack's going to be like, Hungry Heart! Everybody's got a hungry heart.
But it's absolutely brilliant. Will We Talk is fantastic as well, because Will We Talk is about him pulling. It's about him pulling in a nightclub or in a bar. And he goes over to the girl, and the song is pretty much like, you know, she says to him, will we talk in the morning when you take me home? Will you dance with me, darling? So it's pretty much like, if we dance and have a good time here and have a drink together, and we go home and we sleep together, will we talk in the morning? Because we all know, like, one night stands, you know, whether you're staying in her house or his house, or, you know, she or he stays in your house, or whatever the hell it is.
They stay in there.
Whatever the fuck it is, that it can be awkward in the mornings. You know, sometimes you want to get up and be away before they're sleeping. Sometimes you're pretending to be asleep and you're just hoping to leave. There's a load of different things there, but that's what Will We Talk's around, and it's a brilliant song, to be totally honest. Another song that came off that album was The Borders, and The Borders as well sort of echoes the Springsteen thing, where Springsteen, you know, does real long, almost a wee bit like reminds me of Bono as well.
God, that's not good.
No, in his singing style, or Bono's son Inhaler, his son who sings in the band Inhaler, who definitely would be a band of 2020, to be totally honest. Go and keep an eye on them. But
Did see that recently. You're getting a lot of press.
they're fantastic. They are fantastic. They have a song, not Salted Caramel Ice Cream, not Metronomy, Ice Cream Sunday, and it's very, very good. But anyway, The Borders is another one where you see really heavily influenced by Springsteen talking about the struggles, but the way he sings, the roar, the actual, you know, the roar and the screaming almost in it, that is very, very pleasing to the ear. That, you know, when somebody's screaming, it doesn't seem it, but it definitely is. And The Borders, it talks about, you know, sort of, again, health issues, like he says about that, you know, been sort of bullied by somebody that he calls his brother, and his granny taking pills and killing herself, but that she never treated him badly. And it's a brilliant it's a fantastic album. I'm not gonna lie, I've been singing this guy's praises for so long. He
won't fuck up.
He's absolutely brilliant. I really do like him. He was just added to the lineup of Mad Cool Festival for 2020 in Madrid.
Mad cool
Shit, bruh.
Mad cool
Shit. One of my big, sticking points for Fender is the fact that I had bought tickets to go and fucking see him here in Belfast, and
in the Ulster Hall in December 2019, and it didn't happen. After
my 12 pubs, I was like lethal, done the 12 pubs in Dublin. He was on the Tuesday. I took the day off on the Monday. It was absolutely fantastic, right to rock and roll, and opened my emails as you should do daily, as I do daily, and we had an email from the Ulster Hall,
from Sam Fender himself, being like, sorry Jack,
it's just not gonna
it's not happening.
It's not gonna happen in his deep South Shields. I read it.
Can you give us an accent? I don't even know where the fuck Shields is.
Let me see. Can I do it? I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm gonna have to think about that one again. It's
Alright, here's what you do. When you figure out how to do the accent and you remember that Springsteen song, tell me the Springsteen song in the accent.
Okay. Like I said, he's brilliant. I would go and highly recommend. He was named by BBC Radio 1 listeners as their song or the album of the year, and it's highly rewarding, recommended. He has been obviously interviewed. The reason why he couldn't come to the Waterfront is because he's a bad throat, right? So,
but at home,
I've had a bad throat for I don't know how long, Sam. So
Jack sings the tune there. Go on.
Sing a song for me, Applejack.
That's not what I expected. I'm not annoyed. It's not exact.
What happened was pretty much he ruptured sort of whatever cords was ever in his throat, and he was meant to go on to Radio 1, which he did do, and do a live lounge. Radio 1, obviously massive live lounge, it's like a massive thing, people listen to it, whatever. And you know, he said in an interview, quote unquote, I should have just told Radio 1 to go and fuck themselves, because his throat was that sore, and all his people around him, naturally enough, like if I was working with somebody who's a fantastic singer and they were like whatever, blah blah blah, he was been told to like just go and do this Radio 1. Like this is
Radio 1.
This is Radio 1. This is your audience. You know what I mean?
And it was not like he's not a big established
No,
star.
no, he's only definitely come out this year, really, to be honest. And they were like, you know, you need this, blah blah. And he did do it, and it was a good live session, but that fucked his throat up. And he had to jump out of a lot of festivals this summer, which is pretty shit because a lot of people were going to see him. Like as was I.
Yeah.
I was ripping. I didn't get to see him all year.
He's a hot commodity at the minute.
Hot commodity, without a shadow of a doubt. Highly recommend the artwork on his album. I follow again on Instagram, can't remember what it is. Artwork on the album's very good, very like anti-establishment and such things, which is Sam Fender as well. Highly recommend, and you'll love the album. There's hardly a bad song on it.
What is the standout song? Is it Hypersonic Missiles?
Hypersonic Missiles is a big one. Will We Talk on the Borders? Or like the singles that I just named you off. You know, Play God, Leave Fast, Dead Boys, Hypersonic Missiles, Will We Talk, The Borders are all the singles of it, and they're all fucking brilliant. Hypersonic Missiles, Will We Talk, and The Borders are probably my three favourites, although my original favourite was Dead Boys.
Dead Boys.
Yeah, very good.
Very good. We'll put something from the album on Facebook and folks can have a listen if they have not already.
No, like I said, though, highly recommend.
Is this gig rescheduled or is it just not happening?
Gigs is not happening. Got the money back. Ripping. Fucking got it. Like the tickets were like relatively cheap as well because you know he wasn't that well known, and he's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we were like, you know, people would have like got Adele tickets before she really hit the big style in like wee cool cookie places.
Stormzy, do you remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Stormzy had sold out Limelight, but he had also since made it huge and was top of the charts and was queued around the fucking street.
Yeah. So like I said, folks, go and listen. Sam Fender, Hypersonic Missiles, fucking fantastic.
Very good, very good.
Excuse.
Right. I have I have five. They're not in order, same as yours.
Nor mine. No.
They're just kind of 5 albums I really enjoy.
Fired in there.
This one is in the top 5. Not saying it didn't deserve to be in the top 5. I'm just it kind of as we said, we have a kind of eclectic selection here, and I just kind of wanted a selection from that side of things, really. So my number 5 is the 2012 album from Tenacious D. Remember Tenacious D?
I was trying to think of a song so quickly in my head there, and I couldn't think. Can you do one cock push-up?
So Rise of the Phoenix, which speaking of cock push-ups, we'll put the I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen the album cover? This really plays on an audio podcast, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I can see it.
It looks like a dick.
Yeah,
it looks like a cock. You get it. You get it.
I like the movie.
Yeah. The movie was very good. This is the 7 years.
Who played the devil in the movie? I always thought this was weird.
In the video for the song, it's Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Because Dave Grohl is technically the drummer when they record. If you hear drums on the album, chances are it's Dave Grohl.
Oh, okay.
They're good mates. Very good mates. And Dave Grohl's in like a fucking million bands. Yeah, Dave Grohl on drums.
Uh-huh.
So Rise of the Phoenix is kind of the play off the fact that the film was very poorly received critically. I think it's kind of a cult classic. I
was going to say it is a cult classic.
People our age and maybe a little older than us, like really, it was just
like Jack Black.
Yeah, it was a dumb movie that came along at the right time. And nobody loved it. And they kind of
was it before or after? Sorry, School of Rock.
I would have said before,
because I thought School of Rock fell into the 10s as well, but it didn't when I went.
Oh, School of Rock, no way.
Yeah, like I know it's 2005, I think.
Pick of Destiny was 2006.
So yeah, I think School of Rock was 2005.
Right. So there you go.
You know.
Just a little after. So yeah, so they're kind of playing this, and the album's all like about how they're like rising from the ashes of the basically the critical and commercial failure of their film. Like the lead single is called Rise of the Phoenix, and one of the opening lyrics is everybody said the movie flopped, the deal was done, and everybody said that the D was done.
The D is never done.
The D is never done. So yeah, it's just kind of a silly, fun album. It's obviously still a comedy album. It's like comedy rock. You know, such like you like this is a complete. That's what I was thinking when you're talking about. It was like, yeah, so Sam Fender is the song about how his mates all kill themselves. Yeah, so my album has a song called "They Fucked Our Asses," low hanging fruit,
right?
And
for Eve to pluck.
That's what that means. And the Ballad of Hollywood Jack and the Rage Cage. It's basically just them taking the piss. What good traction on the album? Rise of the Phoenix, which says about them like making a comeback. Low Hanging Fruit, which is about you're in Thompson's. It's 3 a.m. You don't want to go home on your own. Senorita, which is basically Jack Black fancies in Spanish.
Senorita.
Is there two? Like, is
fucking
that
hate it.
But is that like the prettiest couple alive?
Without a doubt, yeah.
Like those would be fucking lethal babies.
Yeah, I mean, like you'd WhatsApp porno.
Yeah. Death Star, which is a real like kind of
rip off of the David Bowie. No, obviously
that's Black Star. But no, because it's spelled D-E-T-H instead of. That's not how you spell death, Jack.
No,
you know. It's basically it's like kind of like not surf rock, but kind of like a bit like you know. But
oh, okay,
like it's got a real good beat, and it's like It's about how the world is doomed and they're all going to move to a Death Star and just basically have sex to repopulate the planet.
Stunning.
It's just stupid songs like that. Roadie, which the video is a great video with Lemmy Kilmister, the late Lemmy Kilmister. Basically just a tribute to the roadie and the role of the roadie. It's just a lot of fun, stupid songs.
Fun fact, Noel Gallagher of Oasis was a roadie for, is it Inspiril Corporate, I think the band was called.
Right?
Oh, and that was one of his jobs he done. He also said that if the Oasis hadn't formed and it hadn't gone big, he would still be a roadie today.
I think it'd be great crack.
Being a roadie? Fucking right it would be.
Yeah.
Do you know? You'd sleep with a band.
Sleep with the men. But no, it's
be like, what do you call him? Was it Ron Howard and hide a shit ton of drugs in the Rolling Stones kit gear and fly them across the world? What do you call the guy, the nice guy, that book? The guy was like the guy.
the drug guy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was doing something hard. Anyway, go on ahead. Sorry.
No, you're right.
Keep kicking Sean under the table here.
A mildly interesting thing about the album, they streamed the whole album on their website. 2 weeks before it actually came out, and you could get the disc, I think, CD of the album for free if you just paid postage.
Oh.
In an effort to like combat like piracy and stuff. Which was
okay.
interesting.
Good shout.
And yeah.
Want a pirate I don't.
Fuck you. But no, yeah, it's just good fun. They had another album out after. I can't remember what it was called, which just wasn't as good. Maybe it was because I had grown up, because this came out in what, 2012, so I would have been 17. You know,
Just a young boy.
Young boy. That was 8 years ago. It's fucked up.
The fruits of his loins burning.
The low hanging fruit. But no,
Blue ball.
wow. But no, it's good. It's good fun. It's not high art. I know it's not high art. It didn't win many awards. I don't think. It's Tenacious D. It's good fun. We'll all love a bit of Jack Black, and Jack Black recently did a song with Jack White. Did you see that? It wasn't called Jack Gray. I was very disappointed. But no, tracks to recommend on the album. To Be the Best is very good. The Fucked Our Ass is very good. Rock
is it very good?
It is very good.
I've never tried it. Like.
They fucked our ass.
Oh,
it's okay. Multiple.
Multiples. Fuck.
Rock is Dead. Throwdown. It's a lot of good
sexual
tracks.
connotations in this song. Fucking the ass.
We just low hanging fruit.
Low hanging fruit.
The Phoenix Rising. But yeah.
Come on up for the rising. There's a wee connection on from the bit of Bruce. Go on ahead, son. Sorry, keep interrupting you.
But yeah, it was generally like a mixed bag received, and that our magazines like Kerrang and Upstart, I think, really, really loved it.
Yeah,
but then
they're rock magazines, anyway.
Yeah, and then like other stuff, like I think NME.
I was gonna say NME, another music thing, probably was more like hybrid. Didn't like
what
it.
is this shite?
Yeah.
Rolling Stone give it 2 out of 5. The Alternative Press give it 3 out of 5. Metacritic overall 64 out of 100. So it's probably a bit shit, but I like it.
It's fun,
and I would recommend it. Again, if seek out Death Star is good fun. It's a bit stupid at the end. Roadie, very good. I recommend Roadie or The Ballad of Hollywood Jack and the Rage Cage. They're also playing the 3 Arena in Dublin on the 10th of February, which will probably be about a week after this comes out if everything goes according to plan. Just over a week. So no one will go with me. If anyone wants to
if Sean buys my ticket, I'll go.
I will buy your ticket if you pay me for the ticket.
Not gonna happen.
Well then, fuck you.
Because I'm gonna be so broke when I come back from skiing.
You get paid.
What?
You get paid after that, but before this gig. You know, and Jack is a nice cushy flat right around the corner from where the 3 Arena is.
True,
You know, so fucking he's just.
If the deal was to be you piled me a drink before we went, I would go.
Yeah.
Review of the
coming up. So yeah, that's really my not number 5. They're not in any order. This is just here to kind of. I like a bit of rock, especially a bit of comedy rock.
Yeah,
I feel like it's not really well represented as such lately. There's a few in my honourable mentions that we'll talk about, but yeah, just wanted to get a little bit of Tenacious in there because I like a bit of Tenacious.
Okay.
That's my number 5. Jack, what do you got?
My next one, again, I'm not doing in any order. Going from the sort of same rock thing, it's Tame Impala, Currents 2015. Okay, seeing Tame Impala, folks. When I was in a tent, again, definitely 100% not under any influence of psychedelic drugs. In a tent in Strawbally, County Laois, Electric Picnic a number of years ago.
I would have just left out the Electric Picnic and just said you were in a tent in Laois.
And yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. The band came out. It was just like the tent was almost like it was on a hill, so you sort of looked down. There was like a white sheet behind them, and it was just shooting out like psychedelic images. Like I stood in me and the fella I was with. Stood in the one place for the one.
Can we name the fella you were with?
No, we can't. Because his career if this.
Because he has a real job, man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's an important dude. Let's put it like that. And
Michael D.
and we, what do you call it? We both of us like never moved and just stood and stirred and listened. It was absolutely fantastic, absolutely brilliant. If anybody doesn't know Tame Impala, they're a band from Oz. They're absolutely fantastic, led by the lead member Kevin Parker, who seems to do most of the stuff on his, not on his own, but he's
the creative force.
He's the creative force. Well, like Dave Grohl, to be fair. He's the massive wave behind pushing it. Do you know what I mean? Now, this Currents album was a switch from their previous work, but still wanted to incorporate sort of psychedelic rock. They're a psychedelic rock band, which we haven't really seen since the 60s, you know what I mean? Bands, not that we haven't really seen, but bands in the mainstream being a psychedelic rock band, really pushing the psychedelia element of it, you know. But with this album, you know, Parker said that he wanted it to sort of be able to be played in like dance halls, you know, or the club or whatever.
Yeah.
And did that really play off in the album? No. But there's elements of dance and disco in
Did it work? No.
You're not gonna lie, it really didn't. The singles off the album, let me see. So Let It Happen's brilliant. Let it happen, let it happen.
Is that not? That sounds a bit like the the Lego Movie song.
I've never heard.
Everything awesome.
I've never seen the Lego.
Why have you not seen the Lego Movie?
What?
It's very good.
I'm sure it is.
Will
Wasn't
Ferrell.
your fucking top 5 or your honourable mentions, was it?
Fuck you, Liam Neeson's in
Oh, burn.
it. Liam Neeson's in it
So what?
as a Lego policeman.
Liam Neeson, when we come to the films,
When we come, whoa.
when we,
I don't know what you do when you watch Taken.
what type of cinema you're frequenting, Jack? No, when we come to the film.
Do you go to one of them cinemas where they have a hand check, where like halfway through the film somebody comes in with a torch like hand check, and everybody has to put their hands up?
Wet towels over here, folks. Wet towels. Get your wet towels. No, when we come to the film episode, I'll tell you a very fun fact about Irish film and Liam Neeson and stuff. It's hilarious. Remind me. There's no point in wasting it now. Like. But yeah, so there was the lead singles off the album. Let It Happen, Echo Sounds, feeling of being almost in a daze. Like, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. A fantastic album. One of the videos for one of the songs is of. It starts and it's just like people playing basketball, and then it goes through an air vent, and it's pretty much a girl being orally pleasured by a gorilla, in like a, you know, the stereotypical high school cheerleader bullshit US thing.
Is it a reference to The Shining? No, it's a bear, isn't it? And that's a man.
But yeah, it's a fantastic song, absolutely brilliant. Would highly recommend. The album debuted in Oz at number 1, 3 in the UK, and 4 in the US. Like I said, 2 albums previously that were good. Whether Interspeaker in 2010 and Lonerism in 2012. So you think about it, that was 3 albums that came out in pretty much.
I was going to say
2-3 years between it. You know what I mean? Now the reason why this one, I would say it took 3 years to come out, as opposed to Kevin Parker is obsessive. He's absolutely obsessive. He's almost anorak when it comes to anarchy in terms of music. You know, really, really like obsessive about it. And the album was delayed and was meant to come out. And was delayed 2 months because he was sort of obsessing over it, and really, really protective of his work. But came to the album thinking of songs that were, like I said, came to the album sort of about songs that were not psychedelic but had other qualities. And he came to this assumption he wanted to not move away from psychedelic, but incorporate all things, probably to make it more like mainstream and get people to listen to it. After he was on a bender having shrooms and coke while listening to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Good, sounds like a good weekend.
You know, it's like
in a tent and leash.
Yeah, in a tent and leash. He also had broke up with his girlfriend at this time. Now, any good album, like where any brilliant singer, you know, Blood on the Tracks just happened. The Bob Dylan album, I say this all the time, after he had broke up, after a breakup. Lewis Capaldi, who is massive at the moment, you know, I think his new girlfriend's going to fucking Love Island or one of them stupid reality TV shows. And you know,
his new girlfriend
or his old girlfriend, girlfriend is going into one of those reality TV shows at the moment. And good music usually comes from your deepest emotions. Heartbreak's the biggest one. Sean would say, I don't know what that is because they have a heart of not gold.
I didn't say that.
Of gold. Seen him in 2019 too.
Fuck
but
you.
I'm getting old. Sean wouldn't come because he wouldn't buy a ticket.
I couldn't afford it because it was £100
to see Bob Dylan and Neil Young.
It was the middle of summer. It shut the pay for.
Ah, get out of my road. Don't
He
believe
wouldn't
it.
buy me a ticket, and he's like, buy me a ticket for Tenacious D. You really want to see Tenacious D?
Yeah, because he needs somebody to go along with. Yeah, I rest my case. Anyway, sorry, continue on. He just broke up with his girlfriend, and he said this was probably an influence on the song. There's a song in the album called Yes, I'm Changing. It laments the things that are lost, what have been and what could go. It's one of the slower songs in the album, and Yes, I'm changing. It's very, very good. So I highly recommend that album. It is brilliant. Tame Impala is fantastic. They came to Dublin in 2019, and the same case. It seems to be a running theme between the two of us, not having fucking money to do things we want to do.
Yeah.
We've already done a load of shit we want to do.
Yeah.
They came to Dublin, and I didn't get to see them unfortunately last year, and it was a scorcher.
Where they play in Dublin?
They played in, I want to say, the 3 Arena.
Oh,
Can't particularly remember. It was in the 3 Arena. Seen Hosier actually last year. Was brilliant in the 3 Arena.
Okay.
But didn't see Tame Impala. I'm slightly ripping now. You know what I mean?
Would
There's
I'm
new
surprised-
stuff coming out in 2020.
Yeah, well, that's one of the questions I want to ask you. Would you say they've shifted their sound massively? Because obviously you still enjoy this album. When did you see them? When was that? What year?
Oh god, it was I can't.
Before 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, they've obviously seen more success.
No. After 2015.
Okay.
This album's out.
Well, still. Do you think their sound has shifted massively from their first two albums, the 2010-12 album, to their 15 album?
Okay, not
Because the 15 album is the one.
that's current. Yeah. Yes and no. There's definitely bits of their two previous albums on it. However, I don't know whether it was a thing in his head, like commercially wise. Was it a thing in his head? Like he admits that he wanted to bring that more of a dance thing to it. And we can also remember that definitely last year, towards the end of last year, or like from 2015, 16 onwards, there was a massive resurgence in electronic music.
Oh, I think since like 2013,
till into
10.
Till into the mainstream anyway, like massively. And you know, he sort of was probably saying that would have been a thing as well. Psychedelic rock was a thing in the 60s. We both know, we both loved the 60s. But I would highly recommend anybody who enjoys a song with a guitar and somebody chatting about, you know, and there's a lot of synth as well in it, but it's brilliant. It is a really good album. It's not my favourite album out of the 5 that I chose, but it's definitely up there because it is fantastic, and we don't have enough psychedelic rock in the world at the moment.
Okay, next question before we move on. Not so much about this album. They have a new album coming out next year, Slow Rush. They released a single off it, I think. Borderline. We'll put that up on Facebook and see what you think, but what were your thoughts on it?
Good, yes, I like it. I'm looking forward to this album. It'll be interesting to see what they do, especially as you were saying there, you know, have they changed? They have come on a massive journey from, what was that? Was the other album I said there? It was 2010,
12 were the first
10, 12, yeah. They've come, like, you know, on a massive journey as well. Kevin Parker, like I said, he is the main driving force behind this, so it's definitely how he changes, and I'm looking forward to it. They'll be touring in 2020. I would like to hope they'll tour this album, definitely.
Oh yeah.
So if they come back to Ireland or the UK or Northern Ireland or wherever, I would hope to go and see them.
Because I know I've listened to it once. I think they played on Saturday Night Live, or it was one of them talk shows, Sunday Live, and it seemed more chilled out, because I know some of their older stuff that I have heard, I've listened to half as much as you have. Some of it can sounds quite like aggressive.
Yeah.
And this one was much more like
Mellow.
chill. Yeah, mellow.
Very mellow.
So I'd be curious to see if the album is similarly all mellow, or if it's still as much.
I think a lot of the songs in the album, especially on all their albums, but Currents as well, it is songs that are quite like upbeat, up high tempo, and then there is songs that are quite mellow as well.
Okay, very good. So that was Tame Impala and Currents 2015 album.
15.
Very good, very good. On to my next one, which again, no particular order, but we're at number 4. Number 4 is Alexander Hamilton. This is the original Broadway cast recording of Hamilton.
I'm not gonna lie, folks. If Sean M. Hughes could marry a play or an album or a collection of songs, you know that you see those weird guys on the internet and they marry their cars, like they fuck their cars.
Yeah.
If Sean could, he might be able to get his tiny penis into.
I was going to say holding the CD.
Yeah, holding the CD. He would do, like.
That's why you get the vinyl. You can cut a hole out in the middle.
We went to see Hamilton last year in London.
We did. It was very good.
Fucking fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, it was brilliant.
Jack was like, "This is gonna be shit." And I was like, "Aha!"
Yeah, Sean has been loving this for quite a while. Was that the second time you'd seen it?
The second time.
Yeah, and it does. It's a show that needs multiple viewings, in my opinion.
We're flying to a wedding in
London.
May, and we're gonna fly into London. Jack doesn't know it yet, but we're gonna fly in and see Hamilton in the afternoon.
And then, I'm just like Big Mama, Eddie Murphy.
And then get the train down to London. Well. If the tickets aren't extortionate,
we'll see. We'll try our best.
We'll see. But anyway, Hamilton.
How our friend gets on with it. I cannot.
Oh wait, I forgot about that. But yeah, so Hamilton.
Without telling us now, hold on a minute here. Without going right back and telling us the full story of Hamilton, we're talking. You know, can you separate the story from the songs?
Can you separate the story from the songs?
The history. We don't want a history lesson here. We're talking about an album.
Yeah, but I can give like.
When I seen you put on this list, I was a wee bit like, fuck's sake.
But I can give brief background to the show.
You can.
So, chapter 1. So the show is written by one Lin-Manuel Miranda. He was on holiday many moons ago and stumbled across a book by Ron Chernow called Hamilton, a biography of life of Alexander Hamilton, who was America's first Treasury Secretary and came up with the financial system in the States, the government, banks and all that sort of stuff, Wall Street.
Smart fucking dude, like.
An immigrant as well, as all Americans pretty much were at that stage. No, but he was of Puerto Rican descent.
Okay.
And he this really resonated with him, as he was big into his musicals and his hip hop. He wrote a musical called In the Heights, which is kind of a hip hop musical about Washington Heights in New York. And this resonated with him, that this guy who had put an immigrant who'd come and put this work in and risen to the very top and was so dedicated, and his subsequent sort of downfall, and his ultimate death, and how this was a very hip hop sort of story. So he decided he was going to. Well, originally it was meant as a concept album, eventually turned into a Broadway musical that debuted in 2014, I want to say, 2015,
right,
and has been running on Broadway ever since. Is in the West End, is in Puerto Rico, has tours, like 3 touring companies I think across America. Huge. It has to be. There's, I think Amazon. I think there's still a bidding war ongoing between like Amazon and Netflix. There is a Broadway recording of the original cast that will be put out at some stage. I think they want ticket sales to go, but it's like there's a huge bidding war between Netflix and Amazon over this Broadway recording.
And I have to back shot on this, and I can't say enough how brilliant this play is. Like, it is fucking fantastic. Like.
So essentially, the story of the show is, without, as I say, I won't go into huge detail, Jack. Don't worry.
We're not getting a history lesson here now, Sean.
It's this Hamilton who goes from poverty, an immigrant, and comes to America, gets involved in the War for Independence, get his time then in government after they win their independence as the first Treasury Secretary. He runs for president. He ends up dying in a duel, as they had duels back then when someone offended your honour. And so many of the songs are just fantastic.
Did you know that there's a rule in that, apparently, in the duels? If you challenge somebody to duel and they challenge you back, you can't back out. Once the duel is, you've challenged. And like, so say I challenge you to a duel and you're like, yes, Mr. Donnelly, I will challenge you to that duel. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think you'd call my bluff. I don't want to actually duel you. And you're like, no, duel has to go ahead.
This is happening, right? That's pretty cool. It's just it's a phenomenal album. Like, and I think some of the songs do work. As you say, some of them maybe don't work outside of it, but like, Wait For It is phenomenal. That's from the perspective of another character, Aaron Burr. Essentially, his character is where Hamilton's very direct and go and driven. He's still driven, but he wants to wait for the right opportunity until things are like perfectly aligned. And the song's just about him, his ideology, and it totally would work as a standalone song outside of the show. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song.
This is, now that you're talking about songs, this is a question I have to ask you: can you remove the songs and the album from the play, in the sense, just literally what you just explained? Is there other songs on the album that could be not seen in charts, but could be as their standalone song on their own, without massively linking into, without giving a narrative? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think Wait For It definitely could. I think what did you call that one? Burn definitely could. It's about, he has an affair and his wife singing about how she's burning all the letters.
The stuff I thought was class in it. Really did.
There's an absolute, and I've seen the show twice, and I am in an absolute tears every time. There's his son dies, and he sings about how his son's died and they've moved and he wouldn't like it. And it's actually a really nice story. Before they brought the show to Broadway, 2 of the ensemble dancers were a couple and they had lost their son. And so he wrote this song as part of the show and brought it to them, and was like, and apparently this really helped them cope with their grief and stuff. And it's called It's Quiet Uptown. I think that would work. And The World Was Wide Enough, which is the guy who kills him at the end, coming to terms with the fact that he's killed him.
Oh, okay.
And that the world was wide enough for both of them. The ending, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. Yorktown, The World Turned Upside Down. It was performed at the Grammys. So there are songs that work. There are some, obviously, that are still fantastic, fantastic songs, but like that only work in the context of the show. My Shot, Farmer Refuted, 10 Dual Commandments, which in and of itself is a riff on Biggie and the 10 Crack Commandments.
I've got a question, right? So, see the album, is it of the original cast? Because, like, me and you, like, I've done, like, stage before. I'm sure you could too, no problem. You need to loosen up way, but we'll get to loosey-goosey. Is it of the original cast? Like, could it, like, this album, there could be any people who act in Hamilton, get them to it. This is what makes this choice of yours so unique. Brilliant, to be fair. But I'm just saying, like, so, is this album of the original cast? Is it of, like, professional singers? Is it of celebrity? Like, what the fuck?
So, funny you say that. So, the album that I am putting on this list is the original Broadway cast recording of Hamilton. So, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, it's Philippa Sue, it's Daveed Diggs, it's people who originally played those roles, people who won, across the board, won Tonys for the roles.
Right.
It is them. But they released an album a year later called Hamilton Mixtape, which featured bigger artists putting their own spins on the song. So you have Who do you have? Who do you have that you'd know? You have The Roots. You have Alicia Keys, Kelly Clarkson, Regina Spektor, Ja Rule, Wiz Khalifa, John Legend, Chance the Rapper, Francis and the Lights.
Love
Nas.
Francis and the Lights. Love Francis and the Lights. Keep an eye on Francis and the Lights for 2020, people. Fucking fantastic.
There's actually the best one, and this is kind of what you're saying. So some of them do covers. So Usher does a cover of that Wait For It song we talked about, but then or Alicia Keys does That Would Be Enough, which is when the wife kind of forgives him.
Right.
But then Nas, Dave East, Lynn Miranda, and Aloe Black. Remember him? I Need a Dollar.
I need a
dollar
dollar
is what I need.
Yeah,
we all do.
We all need a lot of extra pounds, kid.
They took like a line from the song and spun it into this whole other song called Wrote My Way Out, about, you know, working your way out of like poverty to the top of the mountain and all that. But yeah, overall, really good album. Would highly recommend the show. It's in the West End. Quite annoyingly, ticket prices have went up recently, but if you can afford it, because some of the tickets are very cheap. Like we got ours for 35 quid.
Did we? How much?
I
Thought they were more expensive than that.
think it was the 37 maybe, but I think it was.
Okay.
And there are stupid expensive ones like 250 quid, but fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that.
But no, fantastic. Would highly recommend. It's sung through like Les Mis. If you like Les Mis, I'd give it a shot. And if you're even like a little interested in the more hip hop side of it, it is very good. It is very, very good. Would highly recommend. The album certified 6 times platinum as of 2019, and it's the best selling cast album of all time. It's won Grammys. It's won Tonys. Yeah, just overall fantastic album. And the Hamilton mixtape too, and the Hamil drops, which were little songs dropped on social media, including the Hamilton polka, which is Weird Al doing a polka version of the lead track. So seek that one out.
Okay.
But yeah, that is Alexander Hamilton at number 4.
Hamilton. At number 4, and it was very good, and I highly recommend as well. Like Sean, go and see that play. Okay,
Yeah.
we will rocket on here. We'll keep her lit.
Yeah,
so going on from the sort of cheating aspect of Hamilton and what he done, I'm going to jump
Jack's
in.
leaving me to do his own shit.
I'm going to jump into an album that was pretty much written about cheating. It was an album that a lot of people said was probably one of the most like in your face, go fuck yourself, how could you do this to me albums of the 10s.
CeeLo Green.
See, I'm at fuck you and fuck her too. Anyway, sorry.
Focus, Jack. Who is it?
This album is, of course, it was released in 2016. It is released by the absolutely brilliant, fantastic, and all-around absolute queen, Beyonce. Okay, I don't know why I had to think about that there for a second. Absolutely brutal, but anyway, nonetheless, the album's fantastic. It's pretty much a cheating album. It's Jay-Z cheated on her. We don't think we know who it is.
We don't know why.
We don't know why. Yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, Beyonce is a boss, but you know the way like any like high-powered people who are like massively attractive, both men and women, you know, would have an opinion of themselves. We don't think that Beyonce would have an opinion of herself because she's so lovely. But Beyonce is like the queen bits. Like, she is the.
She calls herself the Queen Bee.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she's the queen. Like,
Well,
so
I don't know if she calls herself the Queen Bee. People call her the Queen Bee.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that, like, I'm sure, I don't know why he cheated. Cheating's not bad, but she's talking back. Do you know what I mean? So there's a conversation now. Do you believe? I know we're going to go back into the album. Just on a side note,
shit.
if somebody cheats, do you think you should take them back?
I think it's up to yourself.
Or do you think it's like once cheater, always cheater?
Don't know. I think it's up to yourself in your own sort of scenario. Dead kids too.
That's what I'm saying. I was thinking.
Even if the kid is a stupid name.
Yeah, fucking hell, Ivory Blue or something.
Something like that.
But anyway, yes.
Sounds like a shitty gin.
It does. So the album Lemonade, it was the most commercially successful, probably out of my 5, and I would say Sean's as well. Most commercially successful breakup album, sort of about Jay-Z cheating. Not the one, Jay-Z, not the one, kid. It was also
the lyrics.
It was also a visual album as well. So there's a 1 hour long film that comes with every song. Do you know what I mean? Which
well,
is,
as in it's 1 hour and it has all the songs in that hour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's collective. Now she's done sort of this before as well. The video, some of the videos, and it's mad. Like, when one of the videos for Don't Hurt Yourself, featuring Jack White on guitar, absolutely brilliant Jack White. In the video, she throws her wedding ring in the camera, and the lyrics are, if you try that shit again, you're gonna lose your wife. Do you know what I mean? So
very to the point.
Very to the point. Like, fuck about again, and you're gonna get a slap in the teeth, and you're gonna lose a lot of fucking shit. Now they're like they would be up there like on par, if not bigger, than like Posh and Bax, and like celebrity couples. They are probably the celebrity couple. Clintons, Posh and Bax, these people or whatever. They're up there. So for their empire to fall would be a big fucking thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that Don't Hurt Yourself with Jack White, it was one of my favorites off the album. It's harsh and it's a warning to Jay-Z. It's demanding, very very powerful. She released the album with no prior warning. So you know that people do like album cycles. You know, so like again, I always use Rihanna when she brought out maybe was it 4 or 7 albums, one after the other, nearly back to back. You know, there's album cycles. There was no prior warning to this. This was just dropped. Do you know what I mean?
How do you feel about that? That's kind of becoming a thing. It kind of has become a thing.
What, just dropping albums?
Yeah.
Yes. I like. Look, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of like publicity and PR before it, which is obviously helps for the commercial success of the whole thing. But just dropping an album, it's a nice for fans. Like
I like looking forward. Looking forward to it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yes, it's like Christmas. The build up is better than the fucking thing, as most people will say or think. Like, but I can see that with albums.
It's a bit
or
like
with
Sax as
movies.
well.
And I'm usually the sexual deviant of the two, Sean.
I know. I was kind of looking at him like, come on, Jack. That was an easy one.
They're not always that easy.
Oh,
And we're right back in it.
Back in the riff. Back in the riff.
So Lemonade, like I said, it's an absolutely brilliant album. The album is very much as well about like sort of black women and the empowerment, and that she says in it the most black women are the most disrespected people, or a black woman's the most disrespected person in the US, right? In one of the videos it features Jay-Z's grandmother's video of her 90th birthday. Do you know what I mean? She's got lemon and she made lemonade. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a part of me right now, put it like this, right? Jay-Z cheated. She got pissed off, wrote music about Jay-Z cheating, wrote a whole album about it, and then the two of them conspired and put it out and was like, we're going to fuck shit up here.
I was thinking that.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's be totally honest. These people are smart. They're business people.
If he cheated at all.
Do you know what I mean? Like, let's put it like this. Everybody can believe that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. In the sense that it's fucking mad. Like, a straight man, we'd be like, sorry, what did you do? Like, are you fucking... Like, even... Like,
Jay-Z, I still weren't... If you would take those sunglasses off when you get home, you'd see you've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, it's mad. Like, you ask any woman, look, would you turn for... Or any like straight woman or whatever, would you turn for Beyonce? I'm like, yeah, fucking right, I would.
Yes, like John Hamm.
Yeah, fucking hell. Like, they're beautiful people. So, would it be a case where the two of them just put this out and they knew they get so much commercial success? Jay-Z was going to give a fuck if anybody hated him, because people are going to still love him because he's fucking Jay-Z and he's brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
He's not like Kanye, a bit mental.
A bit mental. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so it was brilliant. Daddy's lessons was done with the Dixie Chicks. Brilliant, very very like a country-esque sort of thing as well. Brilliant. Would highly recommend going and listen to it. Where's trouble? Where's
Oh, what are you going for?
Dixie Chicks. Where's your trouble?
I was going to Travelling Soldier.
Oh, okay.
That's you. We're usually in sync on that shit, right?
Yeah,
Fuck's sake,
fuck, Jesus Christ. We'll get
We'll
it
get
up.
there. The Dixie Chicks cover album.
There's also a song on it, Forward, done with James Blake. I think he pretty much predominantly sings on it. Very
James
very.
Blake's like fucking dog shit.
I like James Blake.
No, but I just mean he's everywhere.
He's lit. Everywhere with the crib, as it'd say.
Yeah.
He is absolutely everywhere, and he's very, very good. This one's very slow and sad. And then obviously Freedom, done with Kendrick Lamar, who you will be talking about later. It's brilliant. It's one of the massive, powerful episodes. It goes from the album does tell the story. It goes from when he cheated, thoughts, processes, fuck you, okay, let's do this. Do you know what I mean? So it's brilliant. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all the accolades that it got, because let's put it like this, it has a complete fucking mountain. It is a treasure trove. If there was a dragon that could sit in accolades, there'd be sitting accolades for this album. Let's put it like that. It's brilliant.
I thought something that was because both two things in terms of like I wouldn't really like. Not that I like Beyonce. I've nothing against her. Some of her songs are good. Wouldn't like be gagging for her next album sort of thing.
Nor am I, to be fair.
But as you say, and was this thing real, or was it part of the promo? Because like I remember it was all over Facebook and all. You remember hearing about it, like Becky with the good hair, and that's all this. Yeah. So even if you weren't in the loop, it was so
Chloe
big.
with the good hair.
Yeah, it was so big that you heard of it. The other thing I thought was interesting when I was reading up on this, that song you talked about, "Don't Hurt Yourself," samples a Malcolm X speech.
It does indeed, yes. Good shit. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Good shit.
And it's basically about like aspects that are probably typically seen as of like black people or black women, about like hair or skin or lips, and how you shouldn't be ashamed of it, or why which obviously ties into the whole theme of the song and stuff.
Without a doubt, like, we could disrespect black women as well. The fact that he shows the video of Jay-Z's granny's 80th birthday, and the line, she got lemons and she made lemonade. It's fucking brilliant. Like.
Yeah.
It's It's a very, very powerful album. It definitely swings Beyonce into the more political leaning aspect, because she's been very standoffish. Like, she done this with the Black Panther shit at the NFL Super Bowl, and she received criticism, but she also received like massive like fucking hats off, well fucking played, Arblade. Do you know what I mean? There was also apparently people calling to boycott Beyonce, right? Outside some of her arenas when she was playing in the States, right? So her fans as well were like, well, if you're gonna stand a protest outside the arena, so are we. Not one person turned up to protest against her, and her fans just like all turned up. Obviously they were going to be like, fuck you guys, just are wrong. Beyonce's a fucking queen, but they all turned up anyway and had like a wee bit of a party. Like, woo, we love you, Beyonce. Highly recommend, absolutely brilliant.
Are you part of the Bayhive then? Isn't that what they're called? No, okay. Right, anyway, on to the next one.
Moving swiftly on, but like I said, brilliant album, would highly recommend if you haven't listened to it. Beyonce is queen.
Right, number 3. And this is an album I talked about on a previous episode of the podcast quite extensively, so I'll not bore you with any further details. If you want to hear more about it, you can jump back there, but we'll give you a quick kind of summary. This is Clipping with their 2019 album There Existed an Addiction to Blood, which is kind of...
We have talked about this.
Which is a horror... They call it horrorcore, which is kind of like... It's like heavy, sort of like... They're Clipping are an experimental hip-hop group made up of David Diggs on vocals and 2 other guys whose names escape me at the moment, but I'm sure I mentioned it in that previous episode about and he's on vocals and they kind of produce the music. Their lyrics typically are like horror, sort of violent, dark, gritty, not in like a bad way or like a sadistic way, in more just like a scary story sort of way.
Okay.
And Their Existing Addiction of Blood is their most recent album. It features what songs are on it. We have Blood of the Fang, La Mala or Dina, which is very good. What is the Nothing Is Safe? That was the lead single. We shared it on our Facebook page a while ago, but it is very good. It's kind of like this story of somebody's breaking into the house and you hear them and what's going on, sort of thing. It's very, very good. It was released through Sub Pop Records, which is a label that kind of focuses on like some more underground sort of music, and I think Clipping's one of their bigger hits,
right?
Really, which is ironic because not ironic, which is just kind of speaks to kind of how like underground I guess they are, because you don't really hear about them anyway. But no, Club Down is another track on the album. It's very, very good.
It's getting about down the club, man.
No, it's about burning the club down.
Oh, I had a joke there, but it's just...
no, let's not do that. Yeah, it's got this real like heavy... A lot of their songs with this kind of industrial driving beat behind them. I really hit the table there.
I was going to say, Sean's shaking his hand here. You really heard himself.
La Mala or Dina, as I say, is very good. It's this kind of Latino kind of inspired vibes. Nothing Is Safe. He Did. It is this really...
He did, boy.
It is this really fun hook. Run for Your Life, also really fun hook. Story 7, which they do these stories throughout their different albums called Story 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
There isn't actually, I think, a Story 4 or 6 yet, but there are, and they all, if you listen to them all, they all connect. They're these different awful stories. Like Story 3 is about this guy who works in a bar and might have been a previous, like an arsonist for a mafia type.
Right.
He gets home and his house has been burnt down. But then you can see other connections, like the bar he works on is the bar that's featured in Story 7. So it's really interesting, really fun. And it's like clues and all to pick up on between them all. Blood of the Fang is very fun. It's a really kind of... You talked about Mad Men last week being a slow burn. Blood of the Fang will be equivalent in a song. It takes a minute or two to get going, but kind of draws you in.
Okay.
You know, it's like somebody who talks a bit quieter and so you lean in to listen. It's kind of like that. And then it's just like, boom. It's really fun. But no, the album's a lot of fun and has some really cool interludes: Possession, Prophecy, and Haunting.
This is the album, of course, that ends with the piano burning?
Which is where we're going to go to next.
Okay.
Piano Burning, which is an 18-minute long track that is simply audio of a piano. It is a track that is played by a very specific grand piano. Well, not a grand piano, the ones that like stand up straight. Like, because you know a grand piano's long. This one's the one that stands up straight, whatever that's called.
Okay.
And you play it.
I'm not a pianist.
I'm not a pianist. And then you play a certain key notes and then set it on fire.
Sounded like a pianist.
Pianist.
Sounded like penis as in pianist, or pianist as in you're into like pain.
Pianist. I
That's just S&M or S&M.
Which, you know, given some of the stuff on your list, who knows?
I always check it twice.
Well, your list.
Sorry, go on.
And yeah, it's just audio of this piano burning, which I don't know. We talked about it before. I don't really get it. It's a better crack.
Okay.
I think it ties in thematically with a lot of the album and the degradation, because they'll use a lot of... It's kind of like noise music as well. They'll use a lot of interesting samples to get some of the stuff. Like one of the sounds is a remix of one of the audio guys, him and his wife, screaming underwater,
Right.
and then remixed into the sound they wanted.
I like.
It got a lot of good reviews. Pitchfork gave it 4.5 out of 5 because they do the reviews out of 5. This list I'm looking at's wrong. Sputnik Music gave it 4.3 out of 5. All Music gave it 4 out of 5. It's overall in Metacritic 73 out of 100, which is pretty good. As I say, it hasn't had a huge amount of.
If you're not into it, is it like? I probably would enjoy it.
I think you'd like it, yeah.
Oh, seriously? Okay.
It is a bit. It's a bit.
Because I definitely went back the last time we talked about it and listened to it.
And enjoyed it. It's as I say, it's experimental hip hop. It's like industrial horrorcore noise music. It is not challenging because that makes me sound like a dickhead. It's maybe a bit standoffish. You know, you listen to it and you're like, fuck. It has these like horror tropes, gruesome sort of scenarios, but it doesn't. It's not sick humor, and it's not like, you know, sexist or misogynist or anything like that. It's just they put all this into it, and they put like the listeners in the shoes of these stories, and you experience it. It's really, really fucking freaky to listen to sometimes when you're going home and it's dark.
I would fucking say so.
It's really quite cool. It was like, no, it's a separate story. I'll tell that another time.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm intrigued.
Some of the most exciting tracks on the album are like fucking like these mad hallucinations that you're having of like these stories, and it so much helps. Fun fact, actually, the vocalist in this album, David Diggs, was on the original Hamilton Broadway. This is how I came across this group.
Oh, okay.
He was in the original Broadway cast of Hamilton as Lafayette and Thomas
And he
Jefferson.
sings in this band.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
It's mostly he raps on it, yeah. And his delivery is just so precise and bang on. Like just it's like laser focused accuracy. He has such a good, tight, unique flow,
Right.
and it works so well with these like both the out there lyrics and the like driving weird beats of the music and the samples. Definitely something to look out for. There exists an Addiction to Blood by Clipping. They released another EP about 2 months ago that is even weirder. It's called The Deep,
Right.
which was based off a single they did about slaves and boats going to America, jumping off into the water, but then them and their kids evolving to be like fucking mermaid people,
Right.
and they live down there. And so then some guy decided to write a book about it.
Okay.
This story, so they did an EP to go along with it. It is I listen
But
to
out there, like.
I listen. Not the content I think is pretty, or the story I think is pretty interesting, but the music is it's really fucking a bit different. But yeah, it's their own like transmutationist horrorcore industrial noise stuff. I would definitely give it a listen. Highly recommended. Their existing Addiction to Blood, my number 3 album of the decade.
Bang.
That's another one. Boom. Jack Donnelly, number 2. Talk to me. Terry Sibbs, talk to me.
Straight into an album that came out at the earlier part of the last decade, came out in 2011. Ceremonial's Florence and the Machine. If you don't know who Florence and the Machine is one of the greatest folk soul singers like of our time.
I thought they were a group for the longest time.
I can understand that. I can understand if somebody would see that. But it's Florence and the Machine. It's like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Do you know what I mean? It's like.
But there was a group.
Yeah. But you call it Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
But there was an actual group.
Yeah, there is an actual group.
But it's Florence and the Machine, not just Florence.
Well, she has a band. Like.
But is it not always just? Does that not rotate now?
Fuck, I didn't know that. If it does rotate, I didn't know that.
Continue.
Sean, going to have a wee look. I didn't actually know that. But anyway, this came after her previous album, Lungs. Debuted at number 1 in the UK and was nominated to massive nominated at the Grammys. Some of the singles off the album are absolutely fantastic. So which is one, Shake It Off, Shake It Up, Shake It Up.
Somebody's told me a fucking lie.
What was? Oh wait, go on.
No, they're a group. They're not.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
there's been like fucking 4 or 5 people that have been in it since like 2006.
Yeah, like I didn't think that it changed, but anyway.
No man, I thought it was like what's another example of that? I don't know.
Travel Wilburys.
No, you know like them ones where they have a name.
That's a super group, I suppose.
Yeah, but you know them ones that like have a name and the name implies they're a group. Fuck, there's a really obvious one like churches.
Okay.
Churches like just one woman.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
There's one woman that leads it. Like, there's obviously people who.
I'm just gonna shut the fuck up because I'm shitting the bed here.
Okay, anyway, moving swiftly
Florence
on.
and the Machine is a group. Jack, tell me about
Florence and the
Ceremonials.
Machine, led by Florence Welch. Also, here's a fun fact. I can't name the person it is because I don't want anybody listening to be a creep and go and find who this person is. My cousin's wife, who is an absolutely beautiful lady and an absolute legend, looks a lot like Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine. She's been asked at concerts and in weddings and in bars, are you Florence and the Machine?
At Florence and the Machine concert. You not up there too?
What's going on here? A bit of shape-shifting going on. Doppelgangers. Seen snippets of her a few years ago, but I actually decided to go and see Tame Impala instead.
In the Tent and Leash.
In the Tent and Leash. She is a big thing as well, or did at that time, of like going on stage and just ripping off her top and running about in her bra and like swing, like just the power and that sort of thing.
Free the nip.
Through the nip, fair play to her. Shake It Out, What the Water Gave Me, No Light, No Night. No light. Never Let Me Go. These are all sort of singles.
Is that not
off
the line
album.
how to take me out?
What's it? Take me what?
No, you know.
No like it. No, hold on. No like it. No. Fuck, shit.
No, no. Hold on, right.
God damn. Hold on. No like it. No like it.
No like it. No.
The two of us are horrendous.
Anyway, right, Paddy McGuinness. You know what we're doing, folks.
Phoenix Nights and such things. Phoenix Nights, such things. But anyway, one of the biggest singles off it was Spectrum, also known as Say My Name. So say my name.
Jack Donnelly.
And the reason why this song was massive, Calvin Harris put a remix to it. It was absolutely massive. Did you know as well that I was chatting as well in was it the film or the TV one we done? I think it was the TV one we done where I was telling you about John Hamm and having a job before he
was a porn dresser.
He was a porn dresser. So Calvin Harris used to work in M&S. Used to stack shelves in M&S.
Oh, right.
Yeah, before he actually became a massive fucking DJ. Like,
just think someday they'll be like, Jack Donnelly used to stack shelves for guys.
They will. Are you saying that?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
fucking right. Anyway, the artwork on the front of it, she said it was inspired a lot by sort of like hippie-esque and such things. She's very much like that. She's very much like a free person, like free into that hippie sort of thing. She calls the sound of it is called like chamber pop, mixing chamber pop with like linear notes. Ceremonials also, linear notes. What am I talking about? Mixing chamber pop with soul. Okay. The linear notes of the album has a poem by Emma Frost, and this is the poem is dated September 11 as well. But I want to say as well that, you know, like records, like I collect records and Sean records and collects records, and my dad and other people collect records, which is massively commended. We'll be talking about that in 2020 about the whole music industry and such things. But the thing about a record is when you open it, there's so much happening going on in it. Lyrics of songs, stories, pictures, such things. Has a poem as well on the inside of this. So Florence was obviously thinking about that as well. And it's almost about an album being a full package. You know what I mean? A lot of people, there's talk about singles and such things. This is an example of an album being a full package. Ceremonials, absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend. It's brilliant. Like I said, it showed like it was different from Lungs, but sort of the same, but reinforced like her massive stage presence, the powerhouse of a voice that she has. She's a beautiful, beautiful voice for a woman that sings with such a like massive voice. She speaks really slow and quietly, like this here. She's like speaks so slow and quietly. Go and look her up. She's absolutely brilliant. I seen a wee bit of her a few years ago. Need to go and see her again. And it's a brilliant album, and it's definitely one of mine. Of the Ceremonials, fantastic.
Do you think? What was the next? They've released one album, two albums since then.
Long. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
Are they better or worse? Why? I don't think chose this one over those.
I just don't think that she's really like hit the massively same thing as what she has. Like, I would like to see if anything happens in 2020. Do you know what I mean? I think we've been not bereft of like Florence and the Machine stuff, to be totally honest. I want to see more. I want to see him going back to things like, you know, I want to see her going back to things like Say My Name. Do you know what I mean? Or Shake It Out. Yeah. I love her. She's a brilliant festival gig, to be fair. It would be brilliant to go and see. Like, you're not going to come away crying from Florence and the Machine thing. You're going to come back from a gig seeing Florence and the Machine energized, full of crack, full of life, and have listened to some brilliant tunes.
Very good.
Highly recommend.
How many Florences out of Machines?
I would say 4.
4 Florences out of Machines? Okay. None of these writtens mean anything, folks. Writtens are nonsense. This
are nonsense. Wait, this is just for ourselves.
A bit of banter for the lads.
Have we come down to the final 2, one each?
The final 2. So I'll do this, you do yours, and we'll do some honourable mentions before we hit the number 1.
We will indeed.
So this was probably the most difficult call I did for my list. As I say, these are in no particular order, but when you put anything at number 1, it is one of those things that is like, it's number 1, it's the top of the list, etc. So my tough call was to put this or the album that did go to number 1, and I'm still going back and forth on it, but anyway, we're going to talk about Kendrick Lamar's 2015 album To Pimp a Butterfly. So yeah, this album released in 2015 features like huge tracks. Obviously the lead single off it is King Kunta, which we've all heard. Jack, it was, if you've been to Limelight, you've heard it definitely. Limelight loved a bit of King Kunta.
Frequented Limelight a lot of times in my uni days, Sean.
Not enough.
Okay.
Not you, just in general.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not starting like.
No, I was going to say relax yourself there. Like, man, huh?
Yeah,
what? You starting?
You want to go?
You starting?
Put you through a window.
No, hey, big man, pick a window. Why? Because I'm going to put you through it.
So yeah, Kendrick Lamar. This was probably the album that like shot him to like superstardom. He'd previously released, I think, Good Kid, Mad City was the album before this, and the one before was it Mad M.A. Yeah. No, Good Kid, Mad City, Section 80. That was one beforehand. But this one was the one that like, I'm doing, you can't see it, but I'm doing like a hand, like a rocket, like.
Yeah, he's not
sort of
making a salute of any description. Go on, Ed.
And yeah, so this album essentially, similar to Good Kid, Mad City, is sort of like it's not necessarily a concept album, but it kind of like,
what's the themes?
Yeah, so themes. It's sort of about, you come from this neighborhood, you build yourself up. It's themes of, you're not tied to where you come from, which you can see on the blacker the berry, hood politics. There's a lot of like race themes in terms of, similar to what you were saying in Lemonade, about you don't need to be ashamed of where you come from or what you are. You know that, what was the song, Don't Hurt Yourself? That we talked about, so stuff like that. A very, very good album. Obviously, he would release Damn a few years later, and I think it was more commercially successful. It had DNA, it had Humble, and it was just one of them that was more commercially successful, but I don't think was as tight as To Pimp a Butterfly. I think To Pimp a Butterfly, every track on it is fantastic, and everything is service of each other.
Right.
King Kunta is the single that absolutely went stratospheric, but You, Hood Politics, How Much a Dollar Cost, Complexion, A Zulu Love, Mortal Man, there's all absolute clinkers of tunes. To this day, I think it's one of the coolest gimmicks. Is it I? Pretty sure it's I. Yeah. It has this really cool tune where it's like Kendrick's performing in this like hall, and you hear the crowd and all, and this is part of the gimmick of the song, and you hear the crowd chanting and singing along with him, and he's talking to them and talking back, and then somebody in the audience must get in a fight with somebody else. It's all obviously put on.
Yeah.
And he gives this speech about how we can't be fighting each other, the world's against us and all, it's tied in the whole race idea of the album. And it's just really, really cool. I was reading up on it the other day, and who of all people was a huge apparently fan of this album but David Bowie.
Right.
Apparently when Black Star was released, one of the producers was doing an interview, and he was like one of the influences, and he says that him and Bowie were listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar at the time, and he says we both loved the fact that Kendrick was so open-minded. He didn't do a straight up hip hop record, he threw everything on there and exactly wanted to do, because like has like influences from the Isley Brothers, there's Boris Gardner and Wesley's Theory, there's like sort of a bit of Smooth Criminal influences on King Kunta. I think the sing a bit of Annie, Are You Okay? There's obviously more of the Isley Brothers, or say the Isley Brothers and I. There is a bit of All For Myself on Hood Politics. There's a bit of everything, and it is just so, it's everything on the table. I think sorry, go on.
Because what sets it apart from other rap albums of the time? Like what why would you say that this is? Why is it massive? Like,
so I think Kendrick is, and not to paint a lot of people with
the same brush, really.
But I think Kendrick is very intelligent lyricist. Right. I think you could see that in Good Kid, Mad City. Like Swimming Pools is a song that a lot of people, I think, not misunderstand, but take the wrong way. Right. Because the song I'm on about. It's I only take 2 or 3 shots because it's turned up a notch, and it's basically it's because he had serious alcohol issues. Right. And it's basically the song saying it's his conscience talking to him. It's like, why only take 1 or 2 drink? Just dive in,
why not take
go on.
Like.
And
which is
it's a song that's played on clubs and nights out, when it's a song actually about him saying to himself, to his conscience, like, I don't need to fucking drink huge amounts.
It's funny, sorry to cut across you, it's funny that songs that have a very upbeat tune actually mean something different. So you look at, I'm gonna two very quick examples. Boomtime Rats, I Don't Like Mondays. So it's about a school shooting. Yeah. But if you don't listen to the lyrics, you just take it like, I don't like Mondays, tell me why. You wouldn't notice. Or another song about school shooting, Foster the People, Pumped Up Kicks.
Exactly, I was thinking of,
and it's an upbeat tune. All the other kids with the bum, but let's be totally honest, they're both about fucking horrific shit. The same way as that, that song is about alcoholism and him trying to fucking fight and deal with. But again, when you're you can take different things from different songs. But anyway, sorry, continue forth.
I think another thing that kind of sets it apart is you could draw parallels to Eminem in that Dr. Dre, I think, was one of the lead producers in this album. Right. And I think in the same way, like he sees something that, because Kendrick is different from a lot of what else going on. Like there's a reason that he is like probably, I'd say, one of the most famous hip hop artists, rappers at the minute. Yeah. And I think in the same way, the one that to answer your question in as succinct a manner as possible, because I'm rambling, is Good Kid, Mad City introduced a lot of interesting ideas and very smart, intelligent ideas around lyrics, interesting beats, samples, and kind of deconstruction of a typical hip hop record. And I think To Pimp a Butterfly takes that to its natural conclusion without pandering to it, without making people have these like nearly, they do a rock album and they don't talk about sex and drugs and rock and roll. they talk about the negativity of it.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a wee bit like, well, this is like an anti-rock album. It's still a hip-hop album, but it's smart enough to look itself in the mirror and know
this is some of the beasts.
Yeah,
coming back at me here. Like.
So, and I think Pimp Butterfly's best album. That Damn does some of that, and Damn is also fantastic. DNA and Humble are both the lead singles of it, and great. There are other songs on it, but I can't remember them at the minute.
Yeah, to Pimp Butterfly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that I've listened to every track on the album. One or two that were the singles. Because I'm not a massive man that's into rap. I've tried and just but I can like I see where you're coming from. Kendrick Lamar is a fantastically like a brilliant artist. Like.
And then obviously the Black, it's on my honourable mentions. We'll talk about it later. Black Panther album, but he's everywhere and he has every right to be everywhere. I saw him in Glasgow live. Was that last year? No, it was 2018, and he was absolutely fantastic. Just cover to cover, brilliant. Had the crowd at his back and call the whole time. Would recommend seeing him live if you can.
Okay.
But yeah, that's To Pimp a Butterfly. I think it's his best album. Full stop. I think it's.
Did you listen to his album Good Kid, Mad City?
Yeah, so good. I think it's Good Kid, Mad City is very good. I think it builds on a lot of the ideas. Good Kid, Mad City fantastically, as I say, without like ruining them.
Right.
And Damn, I do like Damn. I just like the themes and the ideas in To Pimp a Butterfly a lot more. Like The Blacker the Berry. I will put it on Facebook as well. There's an excellent live performance he did at the Grammys where he does The Blacker the Berry into King Kunta, and it's just a really charged, really electric performance.
I love the two album covers. Well, definitely the album cover of Pimp a Butterfly, where there's just a squad standing outside.
The White House. Yeah, it's class. It's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that is my number 2, which was very like millimeters from being number 1.
Okay. So before we go to number 1s, we're going to chat about a few honourable mentions. I'm going to jump in very quickly and say a few. Sean, you're going to say a few honourable mentions. Okay, so Frank Ocean had a lot of really good shit that came out in the 10s. You know what I mean? You have Orange Channel, which is brilliant as well. I like Frank Ocean, but I don't love him. Put it like that there. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can listen to him, but I'm not like, in love with him. But I would highly recommend. Also, Blonde as well, fantastic album. Black Star, David Bowie, I think we can both agree is fucking fantastic.
And ties in very well to what my number 1 is.
Robin, Body Talk, okay. Now, I'm a massive fan of Robin. Robin, took a little bit of hiatus. Body Talk was in 2010, took a massive hiatus and came back in 2019 with an album. I am not going to lie, it is fantastic. There's about the 3 or 4 singles are of it. One of them's called Honey, and what's the other one called? I can't remember off the top of my head the other few of them, but they're very, very, very good. Would highly recommend. Kanye West obviously done incredibly well. In the 10s, to be perfectly honest, he done brilliantly. 2019 as well. Seen him release obviously the gospel, the choir thing, which was a lot of like big artists. Every big artist seems to go and see God at one stage.
At some stage.
They go to the waiting room, they go in and see God for a while, and then they come back out and say pretty much fuck you. Will Kanye go that way? I do not know. What else is? But Drake had a fantastic, massively big. Charlie XCX as well, one of my personal favourites, done very, very well. Solange as well, highly recommend. Solange reminds me a wee bit of Celeste. Celeste won the BBC Music Introduction Awards for 2020. Celeste, quick digression, heard her very first time I ever heard of her was called Father's Son. Fucking fantastic. Go and listen to her, she's brilliant. Solange reminds me of her, and Solange, A Seat at the Table, came out in I think 2016. It was absolutely brilliant. Let me see, like I said, I've obviously chatted about Tame Impala as well. Jamie XX as well, done something. Daft Punk as well. Were big. War on Drugs, Lost in a Dream, I have to say was very good. Enjoyed that. Let me think, is there anything else that I'm missing out or leaving out that I can think all the time? There's nothing. Tyler, the Creator, I suppose, as well. Flower Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, how did I not add this? It's on my list. Bon Iver, 22 a million. Bon Iver, if you haven't listened to Bon Iver, go and listen. And that's all I'm saying on that.
That's it. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, go and, get your finger out, go and
Why do we always shout during these honourable mentions?
I don't know, Sean. Why do we always shout during it? Why have I put on the voice? Go, Sean, right,
honourable mentions. I'll talk about the Black Panther album, curated by Kendrick Lamar. He's on the lead track. There's a lot of other really good people on it. James Blake, as I say, he's dog shit. He's everywhere. Seek it out. It's very, very good. It is really weird that it's a Disney fucking music album because it's it's fucking some of it's pretty hectic stuff, but no, very good. The All the Lights is a shit song. It's the lead single off it, the second single off it, but the rest of it's fantastic. I'm going to say that one last because I've realised halfway through this podcast that there is something that should have been on my list that isn't, so it's going to be at the top of my honourable mentions.
Okay.
Black Story, talk about, fantastic. Bad Guy, the song by Billie Eilish. Some of the other Billie Eilish stuff's good crack.
Bad Guy. Billie Eilish reminds me of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah. What's the album called? When We All Go to Sleep, Where Do We Go?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good fun. Lady Gaga, Born This Way. Saw Lady Gaga twice live. She was very good both times.
It's mad that you've seen Lady Gaga. Hilarious.
Cheek to Cheek, the album she did with Tony Bennett, just because that's fucking great crack. Tiny Tampa's album from like 2011, Discovery. It's a pretty tight album, a lot of good tracks on it.
Where the fuck's he went to? The last time I
Dunno.
seen him, he was at the top of a mountain with the ex-Top Gear guys, Jeremy Clarkson and the lads.
On Top Gear, or just for the crack?
No, he was the challenge was how to get to the top of this mountain, and whatever artist got to the top of the mountain first would sing, and he was in whoever's car and got it. And that's the last time I seen him.
Right, well, the one probably left him there.
He's washing dishes now on the top of Mongolia or somewhere.
Endless Fantasy and Scott Pilgrim, the movie, the game, the album, both from Anna Managuchi, who I saw McHugh's years ago. They're like chip pop stuff. There are other bars available. There are other bars available. They use like video Game Boys and stuff to like make little chiptune tracks. Very, very fun. The 25th anniversary Legend of Zelda orchestral album released in 2011 was very good. With Skyward Sword, the game was shit. The album was good. Sunflower, the one Post Malone song I know from that Spider-Man movie, was fucking really good song. Not like it?
I don't like Post Malone.
I've never heard any of Post Malone, but I like that song. Dway, which is from a Chinese man called Jackson Wang.
Right.
It's really a funky little tune. Seek it out. We'll put it on Facebook.
Wang.
And the whole video is in one take. So yes, Love and Isle one take. It only takes one.
I was gonna say you're fucked up the first one, Sean. From what I hear,
tying into my top 5, Splendor and Misery, which is a previous album from Clipping. If you're not into the horrorcore side, if you listen to the existing Addiction to Blood, you're not into the horrorcore side of things, check out Splendor and Misery. It's not as maybe gruesome or spooky as that one, but still weird enough. Damn, the other Kendrick Lamar album we talked about, which we mentioned enough. My Way, the Willie Nelson album of Frank Sinatra covers, which came out last year, the year before.
You gotta love Willie.
You gotta love Willie, you gotta love Frank. And then I have a handful here that I think will all be interesting to talk about. We have Borders, which is an album out last year from Ren Vale and Alma Orchestra, who are both local guys that are like, it's kind of like dance, sort of ambient funk stuff. Maybe not funk's the wrong word there, but it's like ambient. I only heard of them when I went to the Northern Ireland Music Prize thing, and they were played, and it was fucking pretty cool shit. Was the other one Map of the Soul Persona, which is BTS's most recent album. Specifically, the second track, Dionysus, is fantastic.
Now reaching to turn Sean's microphone down.
For the Cult Fat Guy, which was the EP from Junk Drawer in 2016. Specifically,
woo! Junk Drawer,
woo! We'll get them on someday.
We will. We'll have them on 2020, folks.
Song 3 is as I think described in when I was reading about an interview the guys did. They said it's the one with the chorus. So it's the catchy one. So check it out. They're all catchy. They're all good. It's good stuff. For the Cult Fat Guy, Junk Drawer. Check that out. And talk about Black Star, Borders, Born This Way, Endless Fantasy, Scott Pilgrim. I think we talked about them all except the one that should have replaced Tenacious D on my list. The 2011 album from Foo Fighters, Wasting Light, which is a fucking brilliant album, and fucking put Tenacious D on. So if we just want to just listen to this bit.
Shall we don't have enough time?
I'm not saying redo it.
Shall we don't have enough time?
I'm not going to read it. I'm just saying Wasting Light's very good. Our Laundry is a great track. Fucking Bridge Burning's a great track. Fucking The Whole Thing's a great track. White Limo's class, and Lemmy's in the video, and he's fucking a boss.
So me and Sean went to see Foo Fighters in this
decade.
In the last decade.
2014? Fuck,
it was a long time ago. Boy. Good day though. Good day. Also, what was I going to say there? There was an album that I was going to say. Oh, I'm surprised you know Biffy Clyro.
Fuck!
Who didn't do their research on for this fucking podcast?
There's too much good shit, man.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, Biffy Clyro. Not that. What album? What fucking albums they put out?
The blue one with
the blue one.
There's the white one with the blue and the red thing in it.
What? Only Rebel. 2009. Ellipsis, their 2016 album was very good. I don't think they've put one out since then, unfortunately.
Right. Okay.
But Ellipsis was very, very good. As they've been doing for a long time, they've been moving away from the kind of harder stuff and puzzle, but there was bits of it that were very good in there. So yeah, I think that's really us in terms of honourable mentions. Are we ready to go with the number one?
Mm-hmm.
What is yours? Who is it?
We have, Sean. We've come to the number one. Fucking hit End Dubs.
That was a cover of End Dubs. Teacher Starter featuring End Dubs. Why is End Dubs not on your list yet?
Fucking hell, no way. Anyway, we've come to number one, and this is definitely the Sam Fender song Hypersonic, or the Sam Fender album Hypersonic Missiles, which I talked about at the very start, is probably out of my 5 really, really tying with this. It's really, really hard to choose, but Found this band actually. They had a previous album called Neon Bible, which I got for Christmas one time. It's absolutely fantastic. They're a brilliant band. They're from Canada. They're Canucks. They're an indie rock band. And
So they're wankers.
fuck you. This album came out in this album came out in 2010, so way at the start, and it's called The Suburbs. It is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, the album debuted at number 1 in the Irish charts, in the UK charts as well, and in the US Billboard 200 chart. Canadian albums chart as well. It won Album of the Year at the Grammys 2011. Best International Album, the Brit Awards 2011. Album of the Year, the Juno Awards 2011. The Polaris Music Awards.
The Polish?
The Polaris.
Polaris.
Music Awards in Canada won as well. 2 weeks after winning the Grammy number 1, the album jumped from 52 to 12 in the Billboard Top 200, and the album's highest ranking of that album to date. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's sort of I don't know how to like. Okay, so the band's made up of consisting of husbands and wife, Win Butler and I can't even pronounce his wife's name, Renee Chascan, along with his younger brother William Butler, Richard Reed Parry, Tim Kingsburg, and Jeremy Giara. And this album is very much it's based a lot around Win Butler, who's the lead singer of it.
Is that the guy with the weird hair?
It talks a lot about they all look a bit sort of side roads like, and to be fair, so I'm not going to take away from them. But the band, they were sort of founded in 2000. Friends, classmates, sort of came together, led very much by Win Butler, and I'm not going to lie, the album is absolutely fantastic. So the earlier work, had some good stuff. Then they had Funeral came out, then Neon Bible, and then The Suburbs came out. Reflector came out after Reflector came out. I think it was I'm going to say 2013 or 14. Was very, very good. They're brilliant. They're absolutely fantastic. The Suburbs. So the songs. Let me see in the list of the songs. So it starts the song The Suburbs. Comes in quite slowly and light. It talks about where he used to live from, where Win Butler used to be from in Houston, Texas. And it talks about the suburbs, and it's very much one of those songs I think we can all resonate out of getting out of the small town. Do you know what I mean?
Just a small town. Yeah.
Living in a lonely world. Took the midnight train going anywhere. But it's not Journey, and it's not Don't Stop Believing. It is The Suburbs by Arcade Fire. The first song, the title track of it's Suburbs. If I could have it back all the time that we wasted, I'd only waste it again if I could go back. I would love to waste the time again, pretty much with you. Waste again. It's brilliant. It's an absolutely fantastic album. It definitely lifts tempo after that. Ready to Start is a lot more jumpy. It's Ready to Start, it's almost okay, I've set the founds here for you of about suburban life and such things, longing for it, longing to get out of it, and jump straight into Ready to Start. Modern Man's very good and it's very self-reflective. It's looking at toxic masculinity and is Win Butler really a modern man, and is he good enough to his wife and such things. Rococo's quite strange and it's eerie and it's strange. City with No Children, which pretty much should be on my gravestone. It's good again, but it sort of harks back to a lot of that stuff. Then you have Half-Light 1 and Half-Light 2, not massively fans of them. Deep Purple's not bad at the tune the album. Let me see what else. Sprawl's good. Culture War, it's a fantastic song on the album as well, coming up towards the end of the album. I'm not gonna lie, it's like I said, it is a fantastic album. It looks a lot about, as I said, Win Butler's time when he was upbringing in a place called the Woodlands, Texas, suburb Texas in Houston, and he said according to Win, when he was writing the album, is inner a love. Sorry, he said the album is either a love letter to or an incitement of the suburb. It's a letter from the suburbs, right? So him and his wife sing on it. It's brilliant. It's absolutely, like I said, it's absolutely fantastic. It looks, like I said, on longing to be back there, but also glad that he got out. Which I think most people can resonate from, especially we can, small towns and such things, and wanting to get out and see the world. Do you know what I mean? If you never left, you know what I mean? What would happen? Even look back at old artists like Bob Dylan, Dolly Parton, whatever. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoy. Reflector was a good album that came after it as well. Neon Bible came before it, which is sort of how I get into them. They have that very folky indie rock thing, which I like. Very easy listening band. Highly recommend.
Okay. I feel like it's a question I keep asking you, but I feel like we've maybe discussed this before. We've definitely discussed something. Their most recent album, Everything Now. What were your thoughts on it? Because I understand from it had a bit more dancey sort of influences, and And do you think it kind of lost their not lost their way per se, but do you think it was a wee bit off? No, it wasn't what you wanted from your Arcade Fire sort of indie wanker.
Okay, so let's put it like this, right? Everything Now was different. It was their fifth album, or fifth sort of studio album anyway, released in 2017, I want to say.
Yeah.
Put it like this, right? It's different. It's not the same. Have they moved away? Is this as well? What were we talking about earlier? But it's a wee bit like Lemonade, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
that's what I was
question
thinking.
whether Jay-Z and Rihanna, or Jay-Z and fuck.
Whoa, Jack, just give it away.
Oh, Jesus. Jay-Z and Beyonce, where they had sort of put this up themselves. This maybe is trying to like lean into like, oh, we don't want to be forgotten. Like indie rock, at times people say it's dying, disappearing.
It's not as commercially viable.
Not as commercially viable as it used to be. So maybe this was sort of like, they had a song in it. There's 5 singles off it. The title track of it, Creature Comfort, is good. Everything Blue as well, and Put Your Money on Me. Like they're good songs. They're very good songs. But all I'm saying is that like,
Suburbs is the one for you.
Suburbs is the one for me. Neon Bible, even before that, was probably the one for me. It's the one that got me into them, to be fair. We would like early Kings of Leon stuff. I noticed they've no Kings of Leon albums on this, which was strange enough, but their earlier stuff, that I really, really liked was, I think it's called Because of the Night. Love that album. Like I said, I enjoy it. The genre is like the genre of their most newest album, what we're talking about now, Everything Now. It wouldn't be indie rock anymore, or it wouldn't be indie rock.
No,
it's more like dance rock.
Yeah,
if that's a thing, or a rock dancer sort of thing. But enjoy it. Reflector came before it, and I liked Reflector. Didn't love it. Loved the title song Reflector. It was in 2013. So we shall see. How it goes. Like I said, it's been out now 2-3 years. It's good. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next.
Okay. Would you prefer if maybe they went back to more of the indie rock sort of stuff of the 20?
That's what they're good at. You know what I mean? I always say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I can understand how some people would like to maybe jump into the more commercially successful thing, because you do want to see loads of people listen to your songs. Do you know what I mean? You want to see loads of people singing it back to you.
Want to see loads of people listening to your podcasts too, so share and like
podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, and such things.
We're in iTunes now. Woo.
Chat about that after. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed. Brilliant album. Definitely very hard to choose between it and Sam Fender's 2019 album Hypersonic Missiles, because I think they were both brilliant. As when you compare like Sam's songs on that album as opposed to what Arcade Fire had on the Suburbs is more of an album. Do you know why people say like albums are a story, right? Hypersonic Missiles is like loads of wee stories in an album about one big thing. The Suburbs is just a massive story in it, which I think what albums pretty much should be, telling a story. And that's why
that's why I think it prefer to my Butterfly to Damn.
Pardon?
That's why I think I prefer to Butterfly to Damn. It's so much. It's more akin, not so much as the Suburbs is one larger story, but it is one overall collage of different events, stories, themes, which Suburbs sounds more like it is as well. Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. The band as well is a strange one as well. They're massive into activism in Haiti. So you've heard of what's his name, Papa? What do they call him? In anyway, bang.
That's a wrestler.
Oh no! Well, maybe it's not Papa Kango. So obviously in Haiti was ruled by like a fucking dictator, pretty much. Francis de Villiers. I can't remember if that's his correct name. It's wrong probably, but he killed like somewhere nearly up to like 60,000 fucking Haitians were murdered. Like he was big into voodoo. One of people call him Papa something. I can't remember. God, that's racking my head now. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, strange thing. And they're big into like sort of like this was highlighted in their song Haiti. They have a song called Haiti. They're big into political activism about Haiti as well. But they're a strange band. They are a bit different. They're a wee bit like sort of not exactly what you would
not standard sort of thing.
They're not standard, not stereotypes, but they're fucking brilliant. Anyway,
good.
That is my number one album of
the Suburbs, Arcade Fire. Right. It's time for my numero uno. As we say, we don't have an order of these things, but you put them to number one, kind of. People take meaning from these things. So mine is the final album from this particular artist. It was released in 2016, October 2016, only 19 days before his ultimate death. It is You Want It Darker by another Canadian.
You Want It Darker. It's brilliant.
You Want It Darker by Leonard Cohen. The album... It's not very long. I think it only has 9 tracks, one of which is a reprise, and it is pretty much a man who is come to terms with the fact that he's pretty much at the end of his rope. He's like this album wasn't recorded in a studio; it was recorded in his living room mainly because he was just getting on and wasn't well, and he couldn't go to the studio, which I think is reflected so much in the album, because the album is a man who has come to terms with the fact that he probably doesn't have very long left. As I say, he died 19 days after the album was released. And it's you go through all the songs. The songs have that consistent theme. We've talked a lot about albums like To Pimp a Butterfly, like The Suburbs, like Lemonade, that have an overarching theme, story, narrative, and have different maybe chapters or aspects to it. But I think this album is different variations on the same idea. You know, it's very much like similar to Hurt, the cover by Johnny Cash of the Nine Inch Nails song. It's a man who's very much knows he's at the end of his life and is confronting that. So like the lead single is the eponymous You Want It Darker, which is kind of a song that talks about how people always saw Cohen as maybe this jar sort of figure, and how he's now what? And it's better than Bob Dylan.
Not as good as Bob Dylan.
Very good. I can fix that in the edit. How he's now at the end of his life and he's like finished up. Or Treaty, which is about this insurmountable love that he wishes there was a treaty he could sign between his love and this other person that he's singing to. And you know, again, a man at the end of his life confronting the fact that he doesn't have time left and he wishes he could sort all his things out. On the level, which is about his honesty at the end, leaving the table, which is essentially life is a metaphorical poker game and he's leaving the table. It's just all fantastic. And it was the last album released before he died, it wasn't the last album he released even this decade, because just before the end of 2019 Thanks for the Dance was released, which I haven't actually listened to yet. And I will very much intend to get around to, but I think You Want It Darker
is not something you're going to put on if you're going on a night out before.
Watch me, motherfucker.
before you're going on a big night.
Watch me, motherfucker. But it's been hugely acclaimed. The Heavy Club, The Independent, Mojo, Pitchfork put it all on their Pitchfork, Rolling Stone and The Wire all put it on their best albums of 2016. Rolling Stone and Pitchfork put it in their best albums of 2010. The Guardian, The Independent, Rolling Stone, Vice all give it 5 stars. It's on Metacritic 92 out of 100. It's huge commercial acclaim, or critical acclaim, sorry. And it's very bluesy sort of album. It's like very sparse. That would totally be the word to describe it. It's very much just gentle strings and percussion, just kind of taking you gently through these tracks as he, like Leonard Cohen with his better lyrics and voice than Dylan, takes sings along.
Praise Nobel.
And yeah, it's just fantastic album, produced by his son Adam Cohen, and who also has some very good music. Yeah, just fantastic. I think the interesting thing that you could argue maybe is that I, not saying biased, but I was a very big fan of Leonard Cohen prior to his untimely death, and this album as such might be tied up a lot with, I say untimely, and it might be tied in a lot with that, and that obviously the album's about him confronting death, and then he was dead very soon after. But I think it is a fantastic album, even standing on its own right, and very much thematically acts as such a strong. This new album, apparently, Thanks for the Dance, is very good, and maybe it's an epilogue. I haven't listened to it yet, so I don't know. But this very much could be seen as thematically tying so much. If you had a massive book of all his songs and poetry and all, this would definitely be that last chapter that is just tying up all the themes and
kind
stuff.
of the loose ends, like.
As much as you can before you slide off this mortal coil.
Yeah, or try and salvage another big award that you're not going to get.
You know, Cohen, Vidal. That could be on a podcast someday.
You know he's going to win there. Like
Cohen, yeah. So yeah, that would be my album of the decade. You Want It Darker, by Leonard Cohen. His final album released during his life, and I think definitely one to check out. Very good. There is a very good reprise track at the end of The Treaty, which is a beautiful instrumental piece, and I would recommend seek it out. But we'll try and put maybe the lead singles of both the number ones on the Facebook page, and you can have a look. Just like put some of the TV stuff on last week, and like it, share it, just get involved, folks. Let us know what albums you thought, or songs, singles, tracks, albums, fucking ringtones that you thought were the best of the last decade.
Yeah, folks. Yeah, very true. As Sean was saying, I suppose we've sort of come now to the natural conclusion.
The natural conclusion.
The end of the song.
The end of the song. The end of the podcast. The end of.
One More for the Road.
Is the number one album. One for the Road by Cleona Hacken.
One for the road.
That's going for a different song.
Mirror's image.
One for the road. One for the road.
No, there's that, like that One for the Road. Not Arcade Fire. Oh fuck! album that I could have. AM
We
by
need to
fucking
get-
Arctic Monkeys. Jesus Christ.
We need to get off this. Hey, right. So,
That was an album that didn't have a bad song on it.
so
How was that not there? Fuck you, Jack.
I was reading the other day actually a best albums of the decade article, right?
Uh.
And one of them put really high that Arctic Monkeys Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. I thought it was shite.
I think when we look back in years to come, it will be brilliant.
I haven't listened to it since, and I don't know that much. But Arctic Monkeys,
It's good. It's a concept album. Bowie's done it. Like, I'm not
Oh, there's
saying-
nothing wrong concept album.
Yeah.
But a concept album could still be shit.
Oh, of course, you can. Fucking right.
But
It's okay. It's not
okay.
class. I think it's okay. I'm not a massive fan.
okay,
of it.
we're not going to get into this.
No, we're not fucking.
But
Festive
anyway,
cups
those
over
were the best music things of the decade. Go see Hamilton. Go listen to the Arcade Fire, Indie Wankers.
By God, Sam, if you're listening,
And
come
by-
back to Belfast and give me a ticket. Let me interview you.
Give him a one-man show even. And yeah, so generally, listen to the podcast. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes now after a long wait.
We fought the corporate fucking big man and we got there.
Took them to court. No, we didn't. Please don't sue us.
Jesus, please. We got
And like it, share it, tell a friend, tell your ma, tell a gram, tell anybody about the show and give it a listen. Yeah. Jack, do you have anything else to say about your favourite musical things?
No, just that it was a very good decade. I'm looking forward to what happens in the 20s.
Oh, we're all gonna die. World War III. It's happening any day.
Yeah, I mean,
And this might not even get up on air. Who knows?
who knows?
If you're hearing this
If Trump bombs Iran
again,
again,
and who knows how many times it'll happen?
yeah,
by
I
the
mean,
time by the time this goes out.
nuclear war.
Nuclear vessels. But no, yeah, we'll be back next week to discuss our favourite films of the decade, and that will round out our decade in review.
Decade in review.
Or will it?
What the fuck do you mean, will it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just
A
sorry.
little bit strange there, a bit ominous of you, Sean. A little bit. It was very Billie Eilish of you.
Billie Eilish. Right, but yeah, that is Jack Donnelly on the far side of the room, who's revealed himself as an indie wanker who has terrible taste because Cohen's better than Dylan.
The other man that is sitting opposite me, he is continually addicted to the blood of shit albums and shit singers. He is like a beautiful butterfly, bursting out of his cocoon. He always likes it a little bit dark. His girlfriend likes him to turn off the lights because she wants to do it in the dark. I
was just about to say it too. We've been so positive these last few weeks. Best films, best TV shows. Yo.
And he will always rise from any ashes in the phoenix. He doesn't need a wee pill to do that. It is the lovely Sean M. Hughes. And of course, you have been listening to
You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet. Goodbye, good night, so long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen.
Night.